Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Less Stress, More Peace and Happiness Summit. We are so excited that you're joining us. We've got such a great lineup of speakers and so many great topics. And I really feel like you're going to learn something that's going to help you reduce stress and overwhelm, be able to increase calm and focus, and also just develop a happier and more peaceful state of mind. My name's Janine Wooten. I'm your host for the summit. And I would like to welcome today, you're in for a treat, Alexi Bracey. So I'm going to bring her on and tell you a little bit about Alexi. Meet Alexi, the conqueror of cancer without doctors or scalpels. The journey of her life has taken several detours, from battling illness to becoming a self-learning, teaching, and inspiring force for healing. Then, just when things were looking up, a life-altering accident decided to crash her freelance career as a chef. But fear not, for after a year of soul-searching and taking quirky quizzes, she discovered her knack for bringing joy to the world. Whether cracking jokes in dog parks, entertaining people at ATM machines, or leaving service providers in stitches over the phone, Alexi's laughter knows no bounds. And then, of course, destiny stepped in again, granting her acceptance into the Happy for No Reason facilitator program, which led to the creation of Mission Happiness. Today, she fearlessly guides others through obstacles, helping them unleash love and fulfillment with daily happiness habits. Brace yourself for an extraordinary journey of triumph, chuckles, and spreading happiness with Alexi. Please welcome with me, Alexi Bracey. How are you, Alexi?
Well, I'm delighted to be here. I'm really good. Thank you. Just ready to share the joy and share the happiness.
I'm really looking forward to your talk because part of the summit is reducing stress and overwhelm, but we want to get to the part where we're actually focusing on how to create the peace and the happiness. So that's why I'm excited to talk to you today. I am going to bring up your title, and I'm going to put myself in the background for us to get started. And I was wondering if you could just tell us a little bit about your journey. I know we touched on it in the bio that we shared, but how did what brought you to the work you're doing, and your passion for sharing it with others, if you don't mind?
Well, like you said in the bio, I've had a reputation for several years for putting a chuckle into strangers' hearts by approaching them at dog parks or ATM machines. But also on a really moving video that really grabbed my attention several years ago. It was about a barista serving coffee at an airport on Christmas Eve. And so she's animated and lively and with a client or with a customer. And then somebody says to her, "What makes you so congenial and happy? The last place you'd want to be on Christmas Eve is serving coffee." And she thought for a moment. She said, "I'm not serving coffee. I'm pouring happiness into people's lives." So there's different ways we can share our happiness to people, whether it's a very lively, congenial service provider, at a coffee shop, or maybe on the telephone. There's different ways we can just share that happiness to raise people's energy levels, because, you don't know what's going on in their lives. And then, when I discovered I really did like the putting joy into people's hearts. And again, like you said, I was accepted the program. It just totally fit, because I just love, because I was born a happy, no, I can't say a super happy person, but I've always been happy. I didn't have issues of depression or anxiety or, was overloaded. So it's just how you look at life. And, it's been a lot. It depends on your circumstances or how you were brought up.
Right. That reminds me of the saying that life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it, right? So it is, like you just said, how you look at things.
Yeah, I know, like some people were fortunate enough to grow up with a happy parent, a happy father, or a happy grandfather or grandmother, that's somebody that really inspired them. But, not everybody is fortunate in that capacity. But just to illustrate the point, there's a 4-year-old little girl that goes with her grandfather for Sunday afternoon drives for ice cream and cookies. And one Sunday afternoon, he's sick in bed, and so he asked Grandma to take their granddaughter. So the two of them go off, and then when they come back, she goes running up to her grandfather's bedroom, who's still in bed, and he says, "And so how was that?" And she says, "We didn't see any horses' asses, sons of bitch, or tree huggers. All Grandma did was wave and smile. It wasn't fun at all." So her perception of happiness may not be yours, but it's what you're exposed to, and
That's
how
fun.
and which one is happy for you, which one is more fun for you.
Right. Yeah, that's a very good example. I love that. It reminds me of another story too, which not exactly the same, but the grandfather and the grandson, and talking about the two wolves.
Yes.
Do you remember that one? Like the
Yes.
two wolves that I won't be able to do it exactly, but the two wolves that are growing inside of you, the one that's angry and the one that's not angry. And the grandson says, which one grows? And he said, the one you feed. I know I butchered it, but
yeah, no, but still the same thing. You focus on the positivity in any capacity in your life, in the midst of stress and turmoil and anxiety and self-judgment and self-criticism. Focus on something positive, because there's always something positive to be gleaned in something negative. So, like, for example, you woke up with, you thought the love of your life. Well, you meet somebody else that's Mr. Perfect. You didn't get the sale of that house, but a better deal comes up. You didn't get that job, but a better job comes up. So, there's lessons to be learned why we're not happy, why we're judging or whatever. So just find the rainbow, I guess you could say, in the negativity.
So it's some people, like you said, you're kind of born with that mindset. I think I would have to say I kind of am too. I don't think most people are born with that mindset. And so is that something that you can coach people? Is that what
absolutely.
you do?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all about habits. So, like, for example, we are habitual for blaming and complaining. Complain about the weather. You complain about the cost of groceries. You complain about the price of gasoline. Like, for example, it's raining. Well, be grateful it's raining, because the crops are going to grow and we've got water to drink. Be grateful that you have money to pay for your groceries. So instead of complaining what you don't like or whatever, find something, turn it around to find the benefit of it. And maybe sometimes for you, it's just changing your attitude.
Right. Yeah, like that kind of look at it, try to look at it through a different lens.
That's right.
I'm reminded of my great grandmother, actually, who she had 9 children. One died young. Her husband, this was in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So definitely a man's world, right? Her husband was killed when she was pregnant with the 9th.
Wow.
And so, yeah, so she, she had some struggles. But the story was she went in her closet, got on her knees and prayed to God, you're going to have to help me because I don't know what to do. And the story through the generations has been that she heard or felt the voice of the Lord say, stay with your cattle and your citrus and you'll be fine. And so she was, even through really hard economic times. My mom said she was more well-to-do than some of the neighbors. She was actually giving food. But one of the stories, somebody that also came down about her was someone was complaining about washing dishes. And she said, be grateful you have food. And that, just a simple mind shift. But that one always stuck with me when I was a little girl.
Oh, yeah, I know. Just there's beautiful examples all over the place that you can turn things around and see the benefit of it. And, perfect example with your grandmother getting on her knees, whatever higher power you may believe in, ask for guidance, ask for directions, and you will get it. You just listen. I really like going outside and hugging a tree. As crazy as it sounds, I just feel the energy. And I always get one short little message, whatever it is, I just feel, okay, yeah. Or I ask, okay, what am I supposed to do? And a message comes. So, even if you don't believe it, I suggest just give it a try. You may be surprised.
So what about, I like that very much. And I would say, what would you say to somebody who says, okay, I'll give that a try. I'm going to ask for an answer or a guidance. Is there a trick to maybe quieting your own thoughts and your own worries and stress and that kind of thing so that you can tap into and hear the guidance, the higher guidance? Is there a trick to that, do you think? Something you would tell people to do?
Yeah, well, definitely I would just, relax for a minute or two before you do that, or even at home and take some really deep breaths and, breathe in deeply, hold for 10 seconds and breathe out. And another exercise, if you don't want to hug a tree, is as you're breathing in and breathing out for a minute or two till you're finally relaxed, then breathe in some kind of positive emotion. So breathe in love and breathe out love. Breathe in joy and breathe out joy. Not quite as quickly. And then just say, okay, I need an answer for whatever. And then just sit there quietly, and you never know. You may get an answer, and your answer may be go hug a tree and they'll tell you more.
Right. I love that. So it's getting centered and getting quiet. And then do you yourself, do you have a certain feeling when you, is it a feeling in your heart that you think, yeah, that's a divine answer?
It's just like the message is sort of up there in the ethos, and this message is, it could be like 5 words or 1 sentence or 2 sentences to do whatever. And then another thing you can also do is write a letter to whoever you want to, whoever your higher power is, whether it's God or Buddha or Gaia or whatever, and say, I need an answer for, and write it out, fold this piece of paper up and put it in a book or whatever, and don't look at it for several days or a week. And then in the meantime, some answer may come up. So there's different things people can do, and it's whatever you're most comfortable with.
I like that. I like the idea of writing a letter. And I think it also sets your, the act of asking, the act of writing, centering and waiting, meditating, however you want to receive the answer. All of those are putting your mind into an expectation of something positive, a solution.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Because when we're negative, we suppress our life force. So we want to stay, optimistic, positive. We will be guided. We will get answers. And you just trust and believe that.
Right. And develop a state of gratitude too, a mindset of gratitude.
Absolutely. What I do at night is I write I take 3 items that I appreciate about myself. I appreciate that I made the connections today. I appreciate that my class went very well. I appreciate that my granddaughter came for a visit. Whatever it is, 3 things that you appreciate. Do this every single night, but don't repeat. Every single night, it has to be 3 different things. And you'll really find a different appreciation of yourself that you just sort of took for granted.
Exactly. Yes, I love that. I love that exercise too. Can you, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that, but it might be a hard question, but how the practice of happiness reduces stress? Like, I don't know if that's something that's easy to put into words. We kind of know that if we increase our happiness, we'll reduce our stress, but is there something like a study behind it?
Well, actually, one study that sort of comes to mind, which is a little bit different, is Dr. Emoto, and he took water droplets, froze them, and looked at the formation of it. So he would have a glass of water sitting on a word underneath it that said love, another glass of water that said hatred, another glass of water that said happiness. And so when he took the frozen drop of water under the love sign, the crystal was all a beautiful snowflake. When you looked at the one that said hate, it was all gnarled and you couldn't make anything out of it. So it's the emotions that we sit with that will give us the happiness, the fulfillment, the desired result, the self-acceptance. So, on the happiness, I think it was David Hawkins that has the guide on, you want to be on the higher frequency. God was at 1,000. We want to be at least 700, 750, which is joy and happiness. The higher the frequency, the more happier we will be, the more fulfilled, the more things will flow in our life, and we just sort of leave behind the things that aren't working.
Right. And joy and laughter definitely raise up your frequency, for sure. We know
Yeah,
that for sure.
yeah, that definitely has been proven scientifically that laughter promotes longevity.
I think it actually, I may be wrong, you'll know better than me, but I think it actually releases endorphins and changes the hormonal structure of your body as well, right?
That's right, exactly, especially in your brain, and it lowers cortisol, the stress hormone.
Perfect. That's really powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, Neil Cousins wrote a book many years ago, and he cured himself of an illness through laughter. Through being happy. I mean, think of the Lauren Hardy or the Three Stooges or I Love Lucy movies. They're all laughter. They're all fun. They're all uplifting.
Right.
Spend more time doing things that lift you up, bring you joy, not bring you down.
I think for sure they, even before science helped understand that, I think people knew that anyway. I think that's where the phrase laughter is best medicine comes from.
That's very true. Exactly.
Yeah.
In the American Declaration of Independence, it says uh, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's
That's
actually,
right.
it's not pursuit of happiness, it's the practice of happiness.
Really?
Yes.
So I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it really puts a different perspective on the movie with
Does.
Will Smith, In Pursuit of Happiness, because people think that when they're successful, they're going to be happy. It's the other way around. We're happy first, then we are successful. And that's been proven by Dr. Sean Akers, a well-respected happiness expert from Harvard. We're happy first, then we're going to be successful.
Yeah, that's great. So I didn't know there was a thing about a happiness expert, but what a fun thing to do, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
So how does your practice work? What does a day look like for you if you're working with, or can you give us an example of a client success story?
they just changed their attitude. Somebody that had actually an aneurysm. No, I'm sorry, her daughter had an aneurysm and had died, and she had recently had a stroke. And
Gosh.
so, I just asked her to focus on the positivity, the happy memories of her daughter, and she left behind 4 grandchildren, 4 grown granddaughters, and focus on the positivity of them and how can they emulate what they liked about their mother and carry that legacy forward. So, like I say to people, what legacy are you going to leave behind? And when people think, oh, I never thought of that. Well, we're not just here to live, to exist, to keep the population going. We're here for a reason.
Right.
Well, when you know what your reason is, it makes it a lot easier for you to do your purpose and to bring joy and happiness into people's lives. And it's just little things we can do every day. Hold the door open for somebody, smile at somebody. I walk my dogs, and I've got 2 dogs, and people are going, "Oh, your dogs are so beautiful." I'll say, "Yeah, it runs in the family," and they laugh. Or they're petting my dogs, and I say, "If I get on all fours, will you pet me too?" And they laugh again. So just little things to put a little chuckle in their heart.
Right.
It's just so easy.
Yeah, exactly. And when you said smiling at people, I have a little story about that too. And this was one day where I had, again, long ago, my kids were small, but I had a peaceful morning that I don't know where they were. And I was sitting out back and I was doing a meditation under this big oak tree. And it was the moment, I still remember how totally connected and beautiful it was. The phone rang and broke the moment. However, I still think about that. It was so beautiful and so connected. But later that afternoon, I was driving down the road and I just still had this just total internal peace. And I was driving along with a smile on my face. And there was a gentleman on his bicycle coming towards me, and we made eye contact, me with this just genuine, huge, happy smile. And he literally almost wrecked the bike trying to look back to see what in the world I guess I was smiling about. But it's just, that's how unusual it is for people. So I always try to give a smile to people just randomly. It does make a difference.
Yeah, there's this gentleman I always see walking his bike to where he can ride it. And
Mm-hmm.
he always has a scowl look on his face, and he
Mm-hmm.
never, I say hi, how are you? He just grumbles. And so one day I said to him, I said, can I put a chuckle in your heart and tell you a joke? And I told you a joke. Ever since then, whenever I see him, he smiles and he starts a
Oh,
conversation with me.
right.
It just took the persistence. I was totally
Exactly.
amazed.
Exactly. Because you broke through the barrier and saw him as a real person and gave him something.
That's right. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Right. And, imagine if everybody did that, right?
Hmm.
Wow. I love what you do. So tell us about what was it, the facilitator, Happy for
Well,
No Reason. Tell me about that program.
the program is based on Marcy Shimoff's work, actually, the book of the same title, and she's also one of the co-authors for Chicken Soup for the Soul series of Jack Canfield. And so, everybody has self-judgment, self-criticism,
Mm,
and it's not just doing the daily habits to make you happy or somebody else happy, but sort of addressing your inner terrain, so to speak. Your
mm,
mind, your thoughts, what you eat really impacts the relationships you have, what's your mission. So it really takes it on a deeper level to identify the different factors that make you a unique human being. And if you've got,
mhm.
and somewhere you've got some negativity, it could be an unresolved childhood experience, or maybe it's your living situation that's very negative,
Mhm.
or a lot of times it's just plain habits. So address it on a deeper level and give you tools. The workshops, my presentations are full of laughter and uplifting videos or cartoons, so you always feel uplifted in the midst of maybe a lesson that is a little bit on the heavier side. But
Yeah.
people leave engaged, enthusiastic, and think, I just have a new zest and self love for myself, even
Mm,
in the midst of challenges, because we all have the challenges. But, stay positive. And we want to be examples to our children or our colleagues or our family members, because if you're
absolutely.
happy at work, whether you work in the corporate world or an entrepreneur, you want to be happy when you get home, because
Yeah.
if you're not happy, it affects your whole family life.
So the facilitator, you said you mentioned programs or workshops that you do. Is that what becoming a facilitator? Then you have you're able to do these programs for groups of people and just
Yeah,
educate them tools.
educate them. Yeah,
Yeah.
whether it's going out into, different associations or clubs in the workforce, or doing online programs, or doing one-on-one, or
Mm,
speaking engagements,
no fun.
virtual stages or whatever. Because there's different ways you can present, geared specifically to what your audience is. Like, for example, in Canada, where I am, the second leading cause of youth between the ages of 10 and 19 is suicide. So
Mm.
I'm taking that out to the youth, whether it's their clubs, their organizations, or schools. And you don't want psychological testing and things like that. You want something that they can put their fingers on right away to make them feel happy. And because
Wow.
peer pressure is so prevalent among them, how can
Yeah.
they uplift one another? So it's just, it's all geared to your audience, the age group, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so tragic, isn't it, with young people? I think
Hmm.
don't you think and we might be going a little off track, but I feel like just the whole social media, the digital environment that they're in has so much to do with it.
Absolutely.
Um,
And the pandemic too, for sure.
yes. Yeah. So I love what you're doing. That really touches my heart. I'm going to talk to you about that more later. Because I'd like to explore that as well here. It's just needed everywhere.
Yeah, if I could just
Um,
may say, we
mhm.
we eat not just with our mouth, we eat with our ears, we eat with our eyes, we eat with our nose. So
Mm,
what kind of movies do you watch? What kind of books do you listen to? What media do you listen to? What
mhm.
do you hear? It's bombarded with negativity, loud noises. We need positivity. We need uplifting things that make you smile.
Right. Absolutely. I agree 100%. 100%. And I love that you're doing that, especially with youth. That's really powerful because they need it.
Hmm.
They may not be getting that at home. We're two, a couple generations into this digital lifestyle.
That's right. I know.
So we've been out to meals and seen, look around the restaurant, and I'd say half of the tables have all five, six family members, everyone's screen. No one's talking to one another. They're all on individual screens, and it's just sad.
Yeah, there was a Facebook posting in a restaurant for teenagers or youth that come into the restaurant. If they put their cell phones in a heap on their table and nobody uses their cell phone during the duration of the meal, they get a 10% discount in the cost of the meal. I know. I think it's an awesome idea.
It is. It is. I just heard on the news this morning. We don't watch the news much. We had it turned on. We have storms today, so we had it turned on for the weather. But there was a scroll across the bottom that said one of the local school boards is considering banning cell phones from school. And I mean, I just think that should be a given. How can you learn if everybody's
so ideal?
Right?
Absolutely, so ideal. Yes.
Yeah. There's so much that needs to be addressed, I think. But anyway, that's why we do what we do, and we're getting these messages out. So I love your talk on happiness and positivity. I wanted to ask you if I hate that we're coming to the end. The half hour always goes so fast. But I wanted to ask you if there's some simple action steps that you could leave our listeners with, like a little practice that they might do themselves.
Absolutely. Every day, at least 2 to 3 people make them smile in whatever capacity. You decide how you want to do it.
I love that.
You've got a beautiful smile. I like your dress. I like your haircut. Can I open the door for you?
Right. Just little kindnesses.
Yeah, just little kindness things. And when you smile, the person's going to smile back at you. So it's just like, so you're giving out happiness Oscars to 3 people every day, and you choose how you want to do it.
I love that. I love that. And it makes a difference. It makes a difference for that person. It might turn around their entire day, and it makes a difference for you as the person giving the smile to it. Raises your own energy. And so when you're putting that out there and you're getting smiles back, it elevates your own day as well.
Yeah. So speaking of perception, there's a 4-year-old boy that goes up to his dad and he says, "Dad, I know who I'm going to marry." And the father says, "And so who's the lucky girl?" He says, "It's Grandma. She loves me. She's a great cook, and she's an awesome storyteller."
Oh.
Well, there's a bit of a problem, son. "What's that, Dad?" "You can't marry my mother." "Why not? You married mine."
That's good. That's good. Well, that's a great note to end on, a happy a chuckle. So I can see what you mean about going about giving people little chuckles. And I think that's awesome. I love what you do. So tell us about the gift that you have for people.
Well, I've got 12 daily happiness habits. So Perfect. Start with 1, but then add to it. So the next day you'll do 2, and the next day you'll do 3, and the next day you'll do 4. You can stop at 6, but a new one every day initially, and then decide which 2 or 3 you want to do daily as well. And it will really just change your attitude.
I'm sure it'll change your life.
Because we're habitual, have to have the coffee first thing in the morning, have to listen to the news, have to make your bed. So implement happiness habits that we do every day.
I love that. I love that. And I'm sure it will change everyone's life altogether. Change your perception, change your life, change what you put out there, change what you get back.
That's very true.
Yeah. So we're going to put a link below the video where people can find that gift and find you. And so I just, again, I want to thank you so much. I've really, really enjoyed. I'm going to bring you on side by side so I can see you better and tell you thank you so much. I just really appreciate you and your time. And this has been great. It's been fun.
Oh, yeah. I've enjoyed it thoroughly, too. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. And we will definitely put a link below for people to get that gift from you. That's very generous. So thank you. Take care.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.